Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another broadcast here on RevLIVE as we take over for the TA3 Designs Superspeedway Truck League here at their playoff opener from the iRacing Superspeedway here. Not only a virtual version of the racetrack, but a fictional version of a racetrack as well, located in Bedford, Massachusetts, near the iRacing headquarters. Go figure, right? This 3-mile Superspeedway is definitely going to be a crazy wild card here, and we're excited to host the playoff opener here. My name is Brayson Collins, and I'm going to be joined here in the booth today by my cohort and producer, Josh Patterson. Josh, we've been sitting here watching practice, and let me tell you, I would love to get a kind of a good look here at what your insight is into how this event is looking.
Here in general, so I mean, guys are flat out, and one small mistake can really ruin a lot of people's days.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely kind of how this kind of racing can go. It's such a high speed, really fast racetrack. And I mean, we've broadcasted truck races here before, back when we had the World Online Racing Championship, the truck series, the JP Designs truck series back then. We did race at iRacing Superspeedway. That race was won by Blake Kennedy, and it came at some crazy last lap heroics, the whole field wrecking in turns 3 and 4. It was definitely insane. So we are super excited to be here again for the TA3 Designs Superspeedway Truck League. We are obviously, we've revamped RevLIVE, and we're going to be navigating some potential streaming issues. So please just stick along with us on the way. We're hoping to get everything cleared up and sure it's all good and ready to go. But you know, we thank everyone for being here with us through this process here as we get ready to learn, and we appreciate the TA3 Designs Superspeedway League for bringing us on. So with this being their first playoff race of the season, of course, what has to be considered here is the playoffs. We are in the midst of it all. We have this interesting playoff scenario here. They do a almost March Madness tournament style bracket. So Josh, let's discuss this bracket a little bit, shall we?
Yeah, definitely an interesting way to do a playoff system, but one I haven't seen before, and that makes it all the more interesting for these guys to go against each other head to head and actually compete, you know, just against one other driver in the field instead of going after all, I think, 26 or 27 others that are here tonight. So yeah, we got a lot of different single car matchups, and the single car matchups will determine who moves on to the next round.
For sure they will. And so, I mean, the crazy thing about this is the Super Speedway League, right? So normally when you have a 16 seed, you know, I think back to, again, it's a March Madness style bracket. So I think back to that UMBC upset of #1 seed Virginia, back probably, it was it 2016, 2017. And, you know, normally you look at a 16 seed and you're thinking, well, that's a crazy upset. The problem is, like I said, Super Speedway Racing, this is 16 seed, has just as good of a chance of winning as the 1 seed. It's all about getting there and being there at the end, crossing the start-finish line. And so I'm super excited to see how this one plays out. There are, you know, 16 drivers, as you know, as mentioned, and so we're getting new. We're new to this league. We're getting familiar with these people. We're going to be learning different trucks, different driving styles, different personalities, and for 50 laps here at the iRacing Superspeedway, it's going to be super intense. And we're very happy to be here once again with the TA3 Superspeedway Truck Series League. I mean, we're sitting here watching this 27 right now wrap the track, and you can see the banking. I mean, could you imagine trying to walk on that thing? It's just, if you're standing down there on that apron, you're maybe looking 2 lanes up at best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see it going into the corner right there. I mean, there is just an absolute ton of banking here. And speaking of which, let's take a look at your track info for today's event. Obviously, we are at iRacing Superspeedway, which is a fictional track in Concord, North Carolina, USA. It is just under 3 miles, making it the longest superspeedway on the iRacing service at 2.95 miles with an altitude of just under 150 feet above water. So definitely will serve as an interesting obstacle for these drivers to face tonight. And yeah, we'll create some great playoff racing. At least I believe. I think you would think so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't stop thinking about the absolute wild card that this place is. Um, it's just I don't know how else to put it, man. Like I said, we've seen races here before on this channel back when this channel was Work TV, and we definitely are looking forward to seeing how everything kind of pans out. Um, Seeing how the racing action goes with this amount of trucks too. You know, you have nearly 30 trucks, I believe, last time I checked the entry list. So I don't know, man. Wild card, wild card, wild card. Yeah, wild card, wild card, wild card. Say that one 3 times fast, right? That is really what we're looking at here at the iRacing Superspeedway and RevLIVE as qualifying gets ready to wrap up, and it looks like we have our pole sitter set up here, and that's going to be Whitaker in the 51, taking the pole for today. Ryan Whitaker, that is. So very, very close times, though, if you see that on the leaderboard over there. We're not looking at a lot of distance here between these guys, and it's at the end of the day, it's a full throttle track. I'm curious to see who's going to sit back and be patient and who's going to kind of pick up their pace and figure things out.
Just as you say, Ryan Whitaker looks to be on the pole. Troy Nissen comes and takes that away from him with just less than 30 seconds left. And yeah, 19 car seems like he'll be sitting on the pole, as I don't believe Aaron Beaver will be able to make it back.
And something interesting to note about Whitaker getting dethroned from the pole there is I was about to talk about how he is tied in your all-time wins column at 2 with Chris Lewis, the driver of the 111. However, now we have somebody who has not won a race sitting on the pole. That's going to be, yeah, Troy Neeson, I hope. It almost looks like Nissan with an E, you know, so. Anyways, Josh, I think these guys are getting ready to hit the grid, and maybe it's time to go through our starting lineup for today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you see, as we talked about, Troy Nissen starting on pole with Ryan Whitaker to his outside on row 1. Carson Kenny in P3, Michael Soller in P4, in row 2. Row 3 is Tim Abril and Sammy Harrell in the 43 truck. Paul Tyler is P7 in row 4. Alongside him is Brian Kenny in the 11 truck. And rounding out your top 10 is, oh boy, Abe Kalufa and Jordan Nissen. So it seems like some kind of relation between the Nissens here, starting 1st and 10th, as we'll move back to row 6.
Starting off in P11 is going to be the 24 of Nicholas Moffitt. To his outside is going to be Dallas Chowders in the 10. Row 7, we're going to see James Zang. Man, see, the funny thing about being new is you got to learn all the names. James Zanke in the 34, and to his outside is going to be Jesse Meir in the 14. Starting 15th in row number 8 on the inside is going to be Misael Flores, and to the outside is going to be the 21 of Jeremy Berger. Row 9, we'll see the 22 of Randy Cornwell, and to his outside will be the 70 of Dakota Crawford in 18th. And then rounding out row number 10 is going to be Joshua Nunez from the inside in car number 40, and to his outside in, truck number 40. And then to his outside in the 31 truck is going to be Joseph Smith.
We'll see the rest of your starting grid roll down on the bottom of your screen here. Definitely a stout lineup of trucks tonight, and as we saw in qualifying, everyone's going to be close. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the race here, and see if any of the guys starting at the back, like Carson Wong in P28, can work their way to the front and, you know, end up in the winner's circle come the end of the night.
Yeah, I mean, 29 trucks, or 28, sorry. If you're, I don't know, man. For me, it's an interesting dilemma here. Do you sit back and be patient? You have 50 laps here, and reports are saying that the fuel run here is only going to be about 10 laps. So you're looking at a minimum of 4 pit stops here, and this kind of makes me think about if you watch, you know, NASCAR in real life. If you watch the Cup Series, they just had to make big changes to Talladega Superspeedway because you're fuel saving for the first 2 stages for most of it. So now I'm really curious to see what kind of fuel saving stuff we see here, because if it's a 10-lap run, in theory you're going to be running out right there at the end on that white flag. And then obviously cautions are going to play a factor, right? Everybody hopes for a green flag race, especially the league owner, right? That guy really wants to see this thing go green, but I don't know that you're going to see it go green, right? I mean, you look at a track with a million degrees of banking like this place does, and you know, this place gets really wild too. This is one of the hardest handling tracks on iRacing, believe it or not. That it may sound crazy, but the depth of this racetrack and the way that you have to navigate the corner entry and corner exit as well, it's insane. I mean, you have to, if you're side by side with somebody, you have to be very, very careful not to wash up into them, as that pace truck or pace car is going to roll off, and we have our front row set ready to go green flag. It's Troy Neeson in the 19 and Ryan Whitaker in the 51, side by side through the restart zone. The green flag waves, and we're off and underway here for 50 laps from the iRacing Superspeedway.
Side by side coming down the front stretch as both lanes get pretty good pushes from third and fourth respectively, as they're going to stay 2 by 2 down into turn 1 as expected here. But there is a bit of a gap midfield, as it seems like the guys in the middle are trying to maybe give themselves a gap in case there's a wreck in front. But that's the whole thing with the risk and reward here. The guys up front definitely going a bit of a riskier game, but want to be up front controlling it to stay in front of the wrecks.
Yeah, and very interesting, you noted that gap there. It just kind of seemed like the middle of the field didn't really fire off on that start, and that led to a lot of 3 wide movement early on, guys who were not really wanting to be patient and let things fall out. Right now, I mean, you kind of see the pack there. Single falling out fairly well early on, wrapping the bottom. As we said, that 10-lap fuel run is going to be something crazy to look at. And
oh boy,
we mentioned it in our... Oh, we already have trucks wrecking into pit road. Hard hit for one of these drivers. I believe that was a 24. Oh, man. Yeah, that is rough. No caution, though. We're going to stay green flag here and complete lap number 1.
We will get a quick look at that. See exactly what did happen there. It seems like...
Yeah, it looked like it was between the 24 of Nicholas Moffitt, the 84 of Abe Kalufa.
Yeah, just a bad deal there.
Hey.
They got
hard hit to the end. That 24 is done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for them, but fortunate for the rest of the field as they were able to get down pit road. Obviously not by their own choosing, but, you know, ending up down there will keep the caution from coming out. As we have a 5-truck breakaway. Troy Nesson up front, Carson Kenny second, Tim Averill third, Paul Tyler fourth, and Ryan Whitaker rounding out your top 5.
And something else to note in that wreck, the 8 of Dalton Wilson was also heavily involved with a ton of damage, so we may see him pop up as lap traffic here coming up soon. Otherwise, yeah, the field is lined up and still going for now, despite that chaos. Like I said, dude, corner entries and corner exits at this place are just insane to navigate. It's so tight, and I mean, if you're side by side with somebody, as that situation, you know, that situation just occurs, and you're gonna have that issue.
Yeah.
So it's gonna fall up front, but maybe if we get a look through the field, we'll see some racing going on. As it looks like they might be 3 wide all the way back there.
Yeah, 4 wide almost. But yeah, I mean that's the danger about a track like iRacing Superspeedway. The it's really the dangerous parts are the entry and exit. As you see, there's such a I mean, just looking at that, there's so much of a jiggle within the cars that just sends them way up the track, and if you run too close on entry like that, you'll just end up getting popped into from a guy on the bottom washing up. And yeah, like, you're going so fast around here, and there's so much banking that if you make any kind of little mistake and hit somebody, you're likely to you know, meet a bit of a gruesome fate with the outside wall.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys are borderline dooring each other when they're side by side in these corners. It's a crazy thing, and I'm really enjoying watching this pack here, because if there's some follow up front, that's gonna be boring, right? We want to see where the show is, and right now
there's the show.
Scramble truck. Okay, yep. Oh, there's one in the inside wall hard. That's a playoff driver. It's the 16 of Carson Wong, and we mentioned that tournament style bracket is how the playoffs are decided in this league. And let me tell you, Carson Wong is against Childers, the 10. And so I'm pretty sure Dallas Childers is going to be pretty happy to know that his opponent in this tournament is crushed.
Yeah.
that truck is gone. Yeah. Still no yellow, though. Somehow, some way, miraculously, we have not had a yellow yet in this one. And that front pack is gapping everybody out. There's a weird almost 3 packs I'm noticing in the field. As you see here on camera, we have this front pack here, single filed out. It's about 6 trucks. That's your top 6. 7th and 8th are drafting by themselves. That's going to be Zanke in the 34 and Neeson in the 32. And then Chris Lewis leads the next pack, which is your biggest pack that we just saw a couple of collisions in. And that's going to go single file. So I think those guys saw the 16 get wrecked and said, okay, we really should calm down here. Especially, you know, 10-lap field run. We're already halfway through the first field run.
Yeah, it seems like they are catching that second small little pack there. as it seems like Chris Lewis and Drayton Cook, the 111 and 17 here, are definitely teammates. Both got TA3 Designs on the front clip there, and similar paint schemes to match. So they're pushing each other real well, and yeah, just caught up to those two in 7th and 8th, and there he goes, gets turned.
Wow. We're saving it somehow, some way, miraculously. I don't really know how.
Oh my goodness.
That was something right there, let me tell you. Oh, we're still during. We're still during the 14. I would just bail out at this point. If I'm Jesse Muir, I'm just lifting, getting in line. I'll let you guys go handle that. I'm tired of getting doors fed to me. Man, oh man, I do not know how we didn't have a big one. We have had way too many close calls so far here in the first 6 laps for sure.
Yeah, I mean, with that first wreck on lap 1, it was down into the pits, which kept the yellow from coming out. And then when the 16 went around, it was the fact that he was so far off the track that the yellow didn't come out. And there with Drayton Cook, he just somehow managed to hold on to that thing, and that kept the yellow from coming out. So 7 laps in now, and we are still caution-free. However, it has definitely not been without some close calls.
Yeah, and you have to wonder how many close calls is it going to take before we finally have that one that was a little too close and we end up getting a cut in the field, because it's coming for sure. There's still, there's still single file out for the most part, but there's some side-by-side action through the field. And so I'm guessing that might be where we have the issues. And I'm almost wondering if the reason the smaller pack up front was able to pull away so much is because they just got in line and they're ready to go. Whereas that pack that's in the middle to the back, these guys have been fighting. These guys did not get in line. These guys are not being patient. There's a lot of side-by-side racing going on, as we see here. They're going side-by-side again towards the middle of that pack. And so it's just, I'm still trying to figure out what these guys are doing in terms of like where their direction is and what they're thinking in their heads. There's so much to talk about here with this one as we complete yet another lap here at the iRacing Superspeedway. And the good thing is this thing is going green so far in spite of the close calls. I mean, knock on wood, of course, but I'm excited to see how this plays out if we keep having these close calls where we're able to stay green.
Yeah, it's wild to see how much they all kind of fan out going into the turns, and it makes for some interesting looking racing for sure. And obviously I think that's part of what can attribute to the close calls we've had so far. But yeah, those top 6, as Carson Kenny has now taken over the lead from Troy Nissen, who has actually fallen all the way back to the second pack. So 0 to 0 real quick here. Well, not quite 0, but hero to mediocre as he goes from the lead back to 9th place currently. As the second pack does seem to actually be catching that lead pack, as the gap between the two packs is about 1.5 seconds right now and closing.
And what's weird is they've been running kind of side by side back there, and they don't seem very organized. But the amount of trucks that are in that second pack, 10 full clears what they have in that front pack in terms of the amount of trucks. So that's probably definitely what's doing it in. And also, I think these guys kind of got their squirrels out of the way early with all the close calls that we keep in. So I'm curious to see if this second pack catches that front pack before we end up hitting. As we mentioned, fuel run is 10 laps. We are coming to lap 10. Oh, we got a spinner in turns 3 and 4. Multiple trucks going around. That's going to be the first yellow, and that's crazy.
Oh, watch out.
Oh my, we are still wrecking. Goodness. Several playoff contenders involved, and they're probably going to be done for the day. We're going to have to pull up the RevLIVE replay and get a second look at that one and how that all transpired here. 10 laps out of 50.
Yeah, so we look at the replay here. Don't know where exactly that started.
I think it was the 34 perhaps.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
The 34 got checked up on the apron. The 21 had nowhere to go. And yeah, several trucks collected. And then the 21, actually, great job doing a 360, getting that thing straight again. And they still piled in afterwards. Look at the 27 there spinning it out. Several playoff contenders involved there. I want to say a good half of the bracket, honestly. So that's going to be a big one to look at. And Carson Wong, maybe he's catching a break because of that. Remember we saw that 16 truck go nose into the inside wall in the back straightaway. He might be able to catch a break here with some of these guys wrecking, and if he can get his damage repaired, he might be able to climb on out. And one of the key things to look at there is Dallas Childers was not in that wreck, or was in that wreck, but doesn't have a lot of damage. I couldn't remember if he was in this wreck or one of the first ones, but his front end is clean. So, you know, he might be able to gain some spots on the other people, but it's that tournament style thing. So he's going to have to hope that that 10 finds himself in some trouble later on in this one.
Yeah, as we see, it looks like almost the entire field going down for pits. As we mentioned earlier, that 10-lap fuel stint is about catching up to us as we're on lap 10. So it makes sense that the field is coming down a pit road, and we'll be able to watch the race off here and see if we get any shakeups.
Yeah, and these guys, I mean, they might be able to be bailed out by the caution. It might extend their fuel run by another lap or two, and I think that'll lead to people not needing to save fuel, because if the run is 10 laps, you know, they were considerably going to run out on the white flag coming to that checkered. So now these guys are going to have a guaranteed couple pace laps. They're going to save a little bit of fuel. I think they're going to be able to make it to the end. Obviously not from this distance, of course. They're still going to have to make 3 scheduled stops of the 4 that were planned. So we'll have to see how things go, and I don't see this caution throwing them too far off cycle. However, I definitely do see this caution, you know, kind of throwing a wrench in things, because now we're bunching everybody back up, and I'm not going to say that that pack wasn't close together, but they're going to be bunched up side by side, and it's going to come back again. The initial start, the middle of the pack did not really fire off. We saw some 3 wide, 4 wide racing action. Now we have to take a look and see if anybody's going to learn a lesson from that first start, or if you're going to have that guy who he's going to go balls to the wall and just send it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like from that first little run that we had there, it was definitely the top 5 who were playing the smart game. Usually at these super speedway races, you try to stay more towards the back to try to avoid the wrecks, or go up to the front. And it seems like this time they were able to just pull away in single file. So if they're able to continue to do that, I don't see any reason why they would be getting into any wrecks. So that seems like that's the preferred strategy here, is just to be up front and be away from all the carnage behind, because we've definitely seen a good bit of it. However, you know, if that pack does form to be a lot bigger than it was that last time, you know, we might run into some trouble for those guys up front.
As we see the 84 of Abe Kalufa, he gets the wave around after being involved in that lap 1 incident where they spun on a pit road. His truck looks pretty good damage-wise, so I don't think he'll fall into too many issues on his own right. Kalufa not a playoff contender here, so just out here trying to pick up some wins late in the season as we are in the playoff race here for the TA3 Superspeedway Truck League. But yeah, they're going to get 2x2 here. Carson Kenny, he's been your leader for the last few laps after starting on the grid in P3. And Tim Averill, who started 5th, is going to line up on the outside of him. So we'll see how everything goes here. Some of these playoff guys don't have the banner on yet. The banner was released to these guys just earlier today. So not a lot of guys are going to have that that blue playoff banner. But you'll see some of the guys like Carson Kenny, for instance, who do have the playoff banner on, ready to go for today's event.
Yeah, a lot of those, I have seen a lot of those guys having that bright blue playoff banner on, and that definitely helps identify who's in the playoffs versus who isn't, as the regular red Craftsman Truck Series logo banner is quite a different shade of red than that banner is blue. So, you know, I'm sure we've mentioned it, but if you're looking for those playoff drivers, just look for the bright blue banners on the front of their trucks.
And one thing to know about the playoffs is Darkwood, the 7th seed going into the playoffs, did not show up. So Lewis in the 111, Chris Lewis, he's running 11th right now. He can just sit back and chill and focus on trying to win this thing if he wants to, because he's going to advance to the next round of the bracket. As the green flag flies and we're back off and underway here once again from the iRacing Superspeedway. 2x2 through the field we go as Carson Kinney leads them down into turn number 1, and we've got some 3 wide up towards the front already, about 5th place there, as I'm hoping they don't go through it into turn 1 for their own sake. But the 16, notable, that's a playoff driver coming out back onto the racetrack after getting some damage repaired as we roll through turns 1 and 2 side by side. The 28 on the bottom, the 3 on the top side. And now we're going to go down the back straightaway, and this is where it gets really fast. You saw they hit a big bump there off the exit. We talked about the track, the corner entry and the corner exits. being something difficult for these guys, and we'll see how they fare as they go into turn number 3.
Yeah, actually, it seems like the field has already dispersed again. We've got this main pack, which has maybe 12 to 15 drivers, and then it seems like everyone's just kind of lagging behind other than those guys, as you see, as you scroll back in the field. Everyone's kind of single filed out back here. I also saw that coming to the green, there were some drivers who didn't catch back up to the field, so there's a lot of dispersed drivers throughout the racetrack, as well as you were seeing people come out of the pits right as they were going green. So definitely a less put together field, as we saw, last time we had a start here. But yeah, it'll definitely be interesting because these guys up front still are trying to be racy. We still got a lot of two wide, and I'm sure we'll get 3 wide here, as this track is probably wide enough to fit 6 of them in a row. So definitely enough room to traverse, but obviously the handling also plays a big factor.
And we see these guys here up front. They are not as single filed out as they were on that first green flag run. They are side by side here for the lead between the 9 of Jace Lafort and the 3 of Tim Averill. I, for some reason, confused the 3 between the one on the outside. And now we're going to see a move for the lead up front to the 111 of Chris Lewis. I mentioned him. He has no worries in the world. He can go out there and do whatever he wants. He's advancing to the next round for sure. He has driven from 11th to the lead here in just a couple laps, as now we're going to see some 3 wide through the middle of the field going into turn number 1. And, it's just so sketchy watching these guys enter the corner, the way they just wash up the racetrack. We've got a pack of your top 14, it looks like, and they're 3x3 towards the back half of it. Oh, my God, truck sideways, the 9's in the wall, up and over.
Wow.
Twirling down the back straightaway is Jace Lafort.
That's a vicious hit. Oh, when he comes back up.
Ooh. Oh, he spins back up, almost gets tagged by the 14 of Jesse Muir.
Wow. Massive, massive, massive hit for that 9 truck. Let's go back and see a replay of that. Let's see what caused that.
Yeah, that was intense, and that is... Wow, that is a huge one. Lafort was the 13th seed in the playoffs here, as we see just a bad push. Gets sent into the outside wall and then up and over. What a ride for the driver of the 9. And let me tell you, in real life, you're supposed to let go... 14 almost got collected that too. In real life, you're supposed to just let go of the steering wheel and let things go when you're in that position. Let me tell you, on iRacing, depending on what wheel you have, you almost want to do the same thing. Some of these wheels have enough force feedback in them that they'll just yank your wrists. And so I'm hoping he has a cheap old T248 like I do, because otherwise that one probably hurt.
Yeah, let's take a look on board with the 14 here. He's going through it, and then... Oh! Can't get much closer than that. That is...
Yeah, that is... Ooh, I'm hearing reports that we're going to have a change of britches on pit road for that guy. And that was rough. Yeah, Lafort is for sure done after that wild ride in the 9, and unfortunately for him, that's also going to end his playoff run, as his opponent in the bracket was Jeremy Berger in the 21, who we saw get involved in that first caution on lap 10. Berger being able to kind of save it, do that cool little 360 that he did, ended up being his savior, because he is now advancing to the next round for sure, guaranteed, after Lafort going up and over there. So already a lot of moves being made here in this playoff run for this series.
Yeah, I mean, this race seems like it's all about survival. That's one thing that has to be nice for that 111 of Chris Lewis, is that he really doesn't have to worry about survival. He's moving on no matter what. So, I mean, he's able to run up front and run around guys probably harder than just about any other playoff driver is doing, as they all come down pit road again here on lap 16. But yeah, I mean, like trucks like that, like the 111, and guys who aren't in the playoffs are really just pushing for the win here, and they really make the race exciting.
So they'll go down pit road and try to fill up here, and I keep saying "and," I'm sorry. I noticed, oh, we got a spinner on pit road! The 22 of Randy Cornwell has just spun into his pit box and hit the pit wall head on. I don't think anybody else got involved, and I don't think he has too much damage, but the 22 just... Alright. Still trying to find his pit box here. Found it. You know, that bright green sign's sometimes really hard to see. That was something. I was about to talk about how the first caution, I mentioned that wasn't going to throw them off cycle. This one for sure did. That's... You don't often see somebody spinning on pit road, so yeah, that's an interesting one. You know, good thing is Doesn't look like he has a lot of damage. It's a super speedway. Doesn't matter that he's in the back. We've still got over half of this race left. That's just a fun little tidbit. You know, it's all about the adventures you take at the iRacing Superspeedway here.
Yeah, that's certainly one way to put it. But like we've talked about already, this is a super speedway, so I mean all these tracks that these guys go to are super speedways, so they're used to this. But the one very, very positive thing is that track position really doesn't matter all that much until you're on lap 50 coming out of turn 4. So it's really anyone's game all the way through this thing. It's just about getting to the end. And that's what makes these kind of races so exciting, is that everyone is so close throughout the entire race, and you really never know who's going to win or who's really going to have a shot at winning until there's less than 10 seconds left in the race. So it just makes for interesting battling for sure.
Getting ready to double it up here, I think. The 24 of Nicholas Moffitt was behind the pace truck. We'll have to roll it in there. Nick Wheeler, the 12, a little bit of connection issue here, got sent to the pits. It's a new iRacing feature. When you have poor connection, if you, it's called blinking. You end up going and you're kind of phasing in and out of the racetrack. Guys on the track can't see you. Sometimes you can't see the other guys on track. So iRacing has implemented something where it'll send you back to pit road. You'll have to sit there for a certain amount of time until your connection clears up, and then you can go back out there. Nick Wheeler in the 12, definitely. I mean, I'd be calling up the Wi-Fi company right now, seeing what's going on. Wheeler was your number 2 seed in the playoffs and has just disconnected. So there's another playoff thing happening. Nick Wheeler, your 2 seed, that is a major, major upset. Your 15 seed of Crawford. I'm trying to see if I can find who Crawford is. Dakota Crawford, yeah, the 70. Gonna move on here. That's 3 positions already decided here, and we're not even halfway through. We're on lap 18.
Yeah, as somebody who's experienced those network connection issues and being sent to the pits and official races and various, it's definitely frustrating, and I'd be really frustrated if that were to happen to me, especially in a playoff race like this one. So heartbreak over there, but you know, joyous occasion for Crawford as well.
It looks like it may not be over entirely. Nick Wheeler has reconnected to the session, trying to get those network issues fixed, but he's definitely going to be behind the 8 ball, hoping to catch a couple cautions for sure.
Yeah, already at least one lap down.
So. Yeah, Chris Lewis and Ryan Whitaker. Whitaker, I mean, he's been fast up front the whole race. The 3 of Tim Averill, he's also been up front fast all race. And Chris Lewis, he's gone from 24th to the front, your all-time wins leader here in this series. Now he's going to lead us back to the green here at the iRacing Superspeedway as we roll through the restart zone. It'll be all on him, and that 111 and the green flag flies. We're back off and underway here as we'll go side by side into turn number 1, and the 51 did not really fire off. He's going to get bailed out, though, because the 31 didn't really fire off himself, and that'll lead the 51 into tucking in line there early on behind the two team trucks, the 2 TA3 design trucks. Side by side, slightly through the field, but it looks like we're going to have a pretty early single filing out here as we come off of turn number 2 down to the back straightaway.
Yeah, so they're getting real loose off of turn 2. Just the handling, you can tell it's not all there for these drivers, so it's really making for a tough track to handle today. But yeah, I mean, top 6, top 7 maybe are all single filed out as it looks. Yeah, I mean, the entire field at this point seems to be single filed out as we're single file all the way back to P14. So yeah, everyone saw those that last caution there and seems to have decided to settle down, other than the 3 wide in the back, but giving each other plenty of room, so that shouldn't cause any kind of issues. As yeah, it seems like we got the top 20 of these guys roughly, top 18 specifically in this single file pack here, and then some more separated behind.
We have a truck way up the racetrack and 1 and 2 towards the back of the field. The 43 of Sammy Harrell just really, I couldn't really tell what happened there. Just washed up big time in turns 1 and 2. And I mean, we keep talking about it. We're going to talk about it all night. Corner entry, goodness me. Corner entry and corner exit. Really, really hard to get down here. Really, really tough at this place. This is one of the toughest tracks to race at because of that reason. You have a hard time racing side by side here. You have to really, really fight the wheel, keeping that truck on the bottom. We're going to be single filed out now for probably good reason. We are now very off cycle for these guys. They're still probably going to have to make 3 scheduled stops. So we're looking at about a 5-stop system. Oh, he's getting air. The 24 of Nicholas Moffat's going to be involved, and the 8 as well, who started this one off with a rough go at it, Dalton Wilson. And that
Oh,
Casey
watch
King
out!
Mopar
Oh!
throwback. Oh my goodness. All right.
Wow. Let's check a replay on that one. As you see, they were going down the front stretch here. Stack up. Yeah. 32 with big airtime, as well as Moffitt and Wilson in the 8 getting involved.
Just not enough lifting there, running single file. These guys did not really give and take a lot of room. 32 was trying to check up for the big run he had on the 21, and Moffitt just nowhere to really go. And wow, I mean, hard hits for several of those guys. Neither Neeson is in the playoff bracket, so probably good news there for the 32 is that he's not worrying about a playoff spot. I'm not seeing Moffitt in that bracket either, so a couple guys who just racing for wins, getting caught up and stuff. Really rough deal because this track is a really fun track to race on. I'd hate that I got wrecked out early on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely unfortunate for those guys. I mean, obviously they're coming out to try to race for a win here, and you know, it doesn't work out, but not as much impact to them as it would be to our playoff drivers here tonight. So unfortunate for those guys, but not a very big impact in the big picture.
Now we're getting a really crazy look. We are going to see lap 22. Who's coming to pit road? Who's not coming to pit road? Now, if you come to pit road, you can expect that you're going to have a run. We got a couple more pace laps. Let's say you're going to make it to lap 34. You know, hey man, you're going to make it to 34 on that first stop, and then you're going to have to go down and pit. Then you're going to make it to 44, and then you're going to be good for the rest of the race, maybe even have enough fuel for a green-white checker or two. On the opposite end, if you're one of these guys that's staying out under this caution, you pit on lap 18. Now you're going to pit on 28. Then you're going to pit on 38. Then you're going to have to pit with about 3 to go. So does everyone just come down here, get their fuel, knowing they have to still stop a couple more times? Does anybody try to stay out and play an alternate strategy game? Does anybody have a buddy out there that they're like, hey, you and me, we're going to go draft out there. We're going to be on this different strategy. I recall a league race that I did one time, and Josh, you were there. It was, I believe it was called Ice Car at the time still, before they changed the name. It was Talladega. There was probably about 6 of us, and we all went on an alternate strategy, just drafted together, and we ended up finishing top 6 racing for the win, just us. We were our own pack, and we absolutely blew everybody away. Strategies like that are not only interesting, but that could be the difference between winning this race and the situation that we're in, advancing to the next round of the playoffs, versus riding at the back, maybe surviving, maybe not. We've seen a lot of wrecks so far. We've seen a lot of guys going around, a lot of guys hitting the wall. I'm curious to see. It doesn't look like anybody really tried that alternate strategy, but maybe we'll see how it pans out, you know. Speaking of which, another note to add, Nick Wheeler, the 2 seed, is back out on the racetrack, but with significant damage. So a 70 truck is still looking pretty good. Dakota Crawford running 11th right now.
Yeah, Nick Wheeler 2 laps down. And on the topic of strategy, I think it's almost too early to really try to go off strategy like that. I mean, we've still had a call. We haven't had to have a green flag pit stop or a full green flag stint quite yet. So I'd be hesitant to really try to stay out, given that there's likely going to be another caution. But if there isn't, or at least in that 10 lap period, you might be kind of screwing yourself over, given that there's still 27 laps to go. But with how short these fuel runs are, it really changes up the dynamic of the race a lot and keeps those guys, if they're able to get another 10 to 12 laps green flag, then will we be able to see some of those green flag strategy and green flag pit stops? Then that could definitely shake up the order a bit.
Pit stop cycle rolling through. The 51 of Whitaker is going to assume the lead here as they'll get ready to double back up. Side by side, we're going to be going green about halfway through this one. We're on lap 24 now, so we'll be coming to 25 when that green flag flies. I see those TA3 Designs trucks. They're going to line up side by side. Keeping them split up, do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that's a bad idea? How do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, if I remember right from the last restart, Ryan Whitaker, was not able to get the greatest start. So I'm curious to see how he fares from the inside front row this time. Obviously, he is the control truck here, so he'll be able to launch when he pleases. But if with those guys side by side, those teammates have been working together so well so far. So obviously they're still close, and I'm sure they'll still be able to get down and be together in the same lane. But it'll be interesting to see how long that actually takes them to do and how far back they have to fall to get that done. Now, if they're able to get down into turn one, say fifth place Carson Kenny isn't able to get the greatest of launches, that'll leave the door open for Chris Lewis to get down and hook right up with Tim Averill and be able to push their way up front. But if that 28 truck does get a good restart, that might be able to split them up and change up some things. So that'll be interesting.
Field is lined up. Oh yeah, the field is lined up, ready to go back racing. Lots of storylines here. Kind of scrolling through the field on my own, just taking a look, and there's a lot of trucks with damage. One thing I'm going to note is the 14 of Jesse Muir, who we saw with that crazy near wreck of Woodens. Clean truck, starting behind a lot of damaged trucks. Another thing I want to know is when you scroll through this field, there's not many trucks left. We started with 29 total trucks in the field. I believe we're down to 16 that are good enough to compete for this win without damage, aero dependencies, any of the such. So as we go back green flag racing here, heading into turn number one, we're going to see how this one really takes off. The inside line did not really get going with Aaron Beaver in the 97. That'll leave a gap and allow some guys to jump down in line. We'll see how the rest of the field fares as they're side by side coming through turns 1 and 2.
As we were talking about, the 28 does get a good restart, so that does split up Tim Averill and Chris Lewis. So they've got Carson Kenny in between the two of them. So I'm assuming Chris Lewis will be trying to dispatch that 28 as quickly as possible, as we are 3 wide for a good portion of the field here.
Almost contact
4
there.
wide.
4 wide. Oh, that's not gonna work out.
There it is. Saved it.
Oh my goodness, what a save by the 22 of Randy Cornwell, who has had his share of events today with that little bit of a spin into the pits under the last caution. I mean, props to the 38 of Michael Saylor as well for keeping that thing under him. I saw him get put in the sucker hole there up the middle, and I was thinking this is not going to go well, especially when he went from 3 to 4 wide. Man, way too many close calls at this place so far, as we're now at the halfway mark. 26 of 50, or we just took 26 of 50 here at the iRacing Superspeedway. Going down to the back straightaway, a little bit of single filed out action, a couple guys side by side trying to fight for maybe an extra spot or two up there on top, but nobody pushing. There's not going to be a lot of room for it.
Yeah, I mean, that last lap, we just saw a textbook definition of why it is so scary to be running in the back here, because you might be trying to fall back to the end of the line, and you'll have guys splitting you 3-4 wide, and then you're caught in the middle of a big wreck. Luckily, they were able to save it and hold on to it there, but I mean, nonetheless, it's a code brown, I'd say, for some of those guys. So lucky to be able to keep it straight.
I noticed there was a little bit of a check up there, middle of the pack, and we're separated now into 3 packs. About to be just 2, because as soon as I was talking about that second pack that's side by side right now is running down the first pack. I wouldn't think that being side by side would really help you here. I think the side draft would kind of pull the other trucks back, but maybe it was the numbers game or just the fact that we're at iRacing Superspeedway and this place is not like anything else that you'll ever see. Probably a reason why this place is fictional, because if we had a 3-mile Superspeedway with 10 million degrees of banking, I think we would probably see a lot of issues, and insurance would probably not even cover this place existing.
Yeah, that's for sure here. I don't even know how you'd go about getting insurance for a track like this. So, I mean, it's really neat to see this track come to iRacing from the very old NASCAR Racing 2003 game. It used to be called Coca-Cola Superspeedway. They ended up recreating it here for all of us iRacing lovers to enjoy. But yeah, a legendary track back then turned into a legendary track here on iRacing.
And if you're a longtime viewer here on RevLIVE back when we were Work TV, you know very well that we have a special name for this place. We call this place E-Coke because, as Josh mentioned, it was the Coca-Cola Superspeedway. The reason we call it E-Coke is because that's what Paul Granada, our good friend who unfortunately couldn't join us here today, but he'll definitely be in the booth for some feature races and broadcasts here on RevLIVE. He couldn't really say the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and then when the track came out, he kept calling it the E-Coke Speedway. So we just affectionately refer to this place and the NASCAR series as E-Coke. But enough talk about E-Coke and more talk about what's going on the racetrack here, as we were door to door coming down the front straightaway, and I'm seeing lap traffic ahead of these leaders. They're going to approach him coming into the corner. And I'm not really sure how this is going to go, where that lap traffic is going to go, if it's going to play nice or if that truck is going to play mean. That's the 8 of Dalton Wilson, so we'll see what kind of a dog he has in this fight and what kind of effect he has. Maybe somebody jumps to the outside, tries to get his draft, but looks like here he's going to be easily trained up on the top side there, as we've got blocking for the lead. That's going to be the 3 of Tim Averill throwing a block to the top side of the racetrack, now going to have to come down to the bottom, but the 43 now has a run of Harrell, Sammy Harrell in the 43 with the big run. Big push from the 16, who is laps down, running 25th. My goodness.
Yeah, after that very early spin into the inside barrier, he's come back out on track, hoping for some wrecks and some carnage to help boost him up the order. But yeah, he's currently sitting 8 laps down, so very much out of this race, and just here to honestly play spoiler in a way and cause somebody else to win. So definitely a bit of a bit of a help to somebody who might need it.
Down the back straightaway we go. The 16 now fading away. His time in the spotlight there up front was very momentary, as almost took a bad push there. The 84 of Abe Kalufa. Talk about Kalufa, last time around was scored 6th. Was involved in a spin on lap 1. Went into the pits. Somehow didn't get a ton of bad damage or anything like that. Has put that 84 back in a position where he can compete for a race win here at the iRacing Superspeedway. These guys have tamed out a little bit. We pit on lap 22, had a couple caution laps. Like I said, we're looking at, hey man, we're probably going to pit on lap 34. So I'm interested to see how these next couple laps go, if these guys calm down, because we're starting to see them getting more and more side by side, I feel like, which is the complete opposite direction of where these guys should be going, considering they should be fighting to get down to pit road here in the next couple laps.
Yeah, they're not single filing out. Come on. These guys have been way too aggressive to give it up now. I mean, we're within 20 laps to go. Come on. Who really wants to stay single file at this point?
Saw a big bobble there up front between the 40 truck of Joshua Nunez and the 3 of Tim Averill, as these guys now pull side-by-side drag racing it down the back straightaway going into turn number 3. The 111 of Chris Lewis, as we mentioned, has absolutely no worries, can put 0 care to the wind. Trying to make it a 3 wide, going around the outside. He's got help from the 19. He's going to put the 40 in the sucker hole down as we come off of turn number 4. He's going to be side-by-side. Big run up to the outside wall for the 111, trying to drag the 19 with him as we come down to the front straightaway, coming to the start-finish line. The 21 has a big push. That's Jeremy Berger pushing Tim Averill really hard. The 111 of Lewis is going to come down and throw a close block on Ryan Whitaker as we cross the line here, and they're 3 wide, 4 wide behind him.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm surprised with how well Tim Averill's been able to hold up front without the help of his teammate Chris Lewis. But seems like Chris Lewis is kind of trying to get there as much as he can, going 3-4 wide to try to get through the field. Put the 40, Joshua Nunez, in a very big sucker hole as he's dropped all the way to the back of the field. So now there's only one car separating those two TA3 Design teammates there in Jeremy Berger, who did have a bit of a Code Brown moment earlier when he and the 40 got together off of turn 4, almost spun him up on the outside wall. He had a pretty good save, but now he sits second with a very good shot to win this race.
Lap 33 of 50 here. They're finally calming down, it appears, after that little bit of a mess where we were just casually 3 and 4 wide. As one does here in a super speedway race when you're trying to run on pit strategy and you're in the playoffs. And we're actually 3 wide in the field right now as I say that, so I'm not really sure why I think these guys would be any bit patient. But actually, we're going to see the 40 get hooked on the back straightaway. He gets some air down the back straightaway. He's going to get it back straightened out, but he is
avoids the wall.
Going to be cooked. Caution flag is out.
Honestly, that's a huge.
Wow, that is a big save.
That's a huge break, honestly, for that 40 truck. As we're going to take a look at your replay here and really see what happened there. He was going through the middle trying to make something happen. Oh, and just the 14 comes up and just turns him. Wow, almost flips once and then twice. Keeps it on all fours. Keeps it off the wall. Brings out the yellow, and yeah, he'll be able to re-rack with the rest of the field in one piece, which there was about 4 or 5 times there where it didn't look like that was going to be the case.
I thought for a second we were going to be putting our 3s and 4s in the air for Pitt on lap 34, but as it stands, that's not going to be the case. I mean, they're going to pit on lap 34, but not in the manner that we thought they were going to have to, as the field was looking to calm down, get single file, and that spin, a huge break, puts us here for 2 scheduled stops. These guys will come down here on lap 34, field run being 10 laps. I'm not really sure if it's even feasibly possible to save until lap 50. I'm not thinking so. What are your thoughts on that?
It's hard to judge because we haven't been able to see a full fuel run here. So it's hard to be like, you know, they're going to get there or they're not going to. But I mean, obviously we've had a caution, roughly one every 10 laps, maybe a little less than that. So it's going to be curious to see. I really would like to see some green flag pit stops here because, you know, navigating a pit road like this, especially with how fast they are going, is a challenge for all of them. So I'd be curious to see them try to attempt that, but we haven't really been able to. Oh, we've got a replay of nothing. Interesting. Sorry about that.
I think you had a little bit of a connection issue there. Glad you're back with us. I got a little scared for a second. The 3 of Tim Abel is going to come down pit road. Lead him down, or April, sorry. Going to lead us down pit road. I like what you're talking about. I would love to see green flag pit stops. Look how close we've come to getting green flag pit stops. That first run went about 10 laps. This run we were getting right there on the money. I'm kind of wondering if the fact that we almost got green flag pit stops is part of the issue and part of the reason why we've had some of these cautions that we've had.
I think these boys are just scared. They don't want to do it. That's why they keep wrecking. No, obviously. I really would like to see those green flag stops, as I was saying, as the 19 does miss his box there. It looks like the 33 will get out first, but I believe he's a lap car. But yeah, I mean, I really do think that would have a big opportunity to shake up the field and also, you know, just really set up a good finish to the end. But like we've been seeing, if these cautions keep coming out, that could also set up a really good finish to the end. If we end up with a green-white checkered with only a couple laps to go, and because I mean, at a track like this with a little laps left, you'll see guys going 4 or 5 wide just to try to get to the front. So, I mean, really anything's still possible here at iRacing Superspeedway. And obviously, again, it's still a playoff race, so these guys are still fighting to move on to the next round in this head-to-head format. So yeah, I think it's definitely the intensity, not that it hasn't been intense, but I think it's gonna ramp up even more coming through these final 15 laps.
You had 8 different matchups in that playoff tournament that we keep talking about. 2 of them are for sure decided. A third one seems to be almost imminent with the way in which things are going for your second seed of Wheeler, who has still 2 laps down, running in 20th. Whereas his opponent in the tournament, Dakota Crawford in the 70, is up in the 12th position right now, last time they were scored. Not sure how this is all going to play out. If we get 2 more cautions, Nick Wheeler is, in theory, the lucky dog. Wheeler, though, is battling significant damage. Not only does he have severe aerodynamic damage, but he definitely does not have an advantage, let me tell you. Actually, a disadvantage. He also has an engine disadvantage as well. That thing is down on power for sure. He's taken a couple licks to the front bumper. If you kind of notice on the 12, you see there's an indentation on the right front. You see the hood's got a little bit of a crinkle, and it's a little harder to tell, but there's a dip right in the center of that Ram front bumper. Speaking of Rams, however, in this league, maybe something we can talk about, the manufacturer standings after the last race. Ram is leading this thing. Ram has led ever since race number 2. They lead ahead of Chevrolet with the Silverado. And then they are light years ahead of Toyota and Ford. Ford only has 39 total points on the year. There's not a lot of Fords in this league. Seemingly seems to be a Ram versus Chevy battle, as Toyota also very outnumbered. Honestly, the Rams seem to be outnumbering the Chevys heavily. I almost said Chevrolet. The Rams seem to be outnumbering the Chevrolets in a heavy manner. What are your thoughts on the new Ram and the popularity of it and where we're looking at right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious looking at this field today why the manufacturing standings are the way they are. There are a ton of Ram front ends you can see on that camera. I believe there's, out of the 9 I see, 6 of them, or almost 6 of them are Ram. So definitely an overpopulation of Rams here today. And, you know, I think it's great that Rams return to NASCAR and return to iRacing. You know, it really works to expand the sport and get more manufacturers involved. And I think there's no way that could be spun in a negative way. So really happy to have Ram back in the sport and out here on iRacing. And it seems like a lot of the fans and drivers in this race are happy to have it back too.
Shout out to our Canadian brethren, Jay Mulder. He's adamant that driving a Ram adds 5 horsepower. That's not true at all, but he's very adamant about that. Really loves the Rams, so I'm sure if we can get him to take a look at this broadcast, if he's not watching it already, I'm sure he's very, very excited to see the amount of Rams that are in this field. As we go back, green flag racing here side by side going into turn number 1. Your leader once again is going to be the number 3 of Tim Averill, who's really controlled the field and been up front for most of this one. I don't even think we've seen him shuffle outside of the top 5 at any point in time. The outside line doesn't really get going, and Whitaker is going to find himself a very small hole in that 51 to get in line in 5th. That will leave, unfortunately, for the 28 of Carson Kenny. That truck is going to lose a lot of ground, but a big push down the back straightaway from the 111 of Chris Lewis is going to give him a run. And now the 51 of Whitaker is going to go jump back up to the top side here. They go into turn 3. Let's see how it all shuffles out between these leaders.
Yeah, I mean, if anything we've seen today is that Chris Lewis can go to the front. So having him behind you is not the worst thing in the world. He's been able to push people up there and almost kill people to get there. But yeah, the top lane seems to be generating a bit of a run to try to get back up to the front. And yeah, more cars move up there as we see the 43 of Sammy Harrell go up there. And it seems like he's actually going to have a shot at the lead as he will get the nose on Tim Averill going through turn 1, but we'll see how long that lasts.
The 43 was on the top side trying to take the lead on that last green flag run prior to the yellow flag flying. He got a couple blocks thrown on him from your leader, but now is making a charge to the front. That's not going to last long, though, as Chris Lewis in the 111 jumps to the outside lane, and he's got help from the 40 of Joshua Nunez. Nunez, who just took a spin and a slight little bit of a tumble battling the aerodynamics of this racetrack and the high speeds we're going. He is now showing that there's absolutely no damage to that race truck at all. Fighting on the top side with Lewis. Unfortunately, not enough trucks up there. The numbers game is going to play against him in this favor, and that's actually going to kind of break up the middle lane. However, the bottom lane, there's a big gap down there, so there's a lot of breaking up going on in this pack, and that's going to generate a lot of kinetic energy. I'm not sure how this one's going to play out. Hopefully these boys check up, or else we might see a big one coming here as we enter turn number 1.
It was interesting there. I just watched the 51 of Ryan Whitaker go to the bottom, and then the 28 of Carson Kenny, I guess not really happy about it, and just side draft him way back, and he lost about a car length and a half just down the front stretch with the side draft. So that shows that there's more than just the straight up draft playing factor here. It's also the side draft, and that might be why it's so hard for packs that are too wide to really catch up to those first 4 drivers up there. And as we've seen really all day, guys pulling away into a single file pack up front where everyone else is trying to go 2 and 3 wide and really pulling themselves back.
3 wide off the exit of the corner towards the back of the field, but single file up front. Calm weathering the storm for the top 4 drivers in this one. Tim Averill, your leader. Jeremy Berger, who took a spin earlier as well in that 21. Nice job keeping the truck clean and navigating his way up to 2nd. Joseph Smith in the 31 in 3rd, and then that 19 of Troy Neeson, who started up front on the pole, stole the pole from Whitaker at the last second in qualifying. You just got to keep it calm. Behind them, no, we got a spinner. The 59 of Colton Sorrell is going around. He gets some air. He's going to spin it around and lock it up. Keep it off the inside wall, but that will bring out the caution flag. And we are right at the pit window. There are 11 laps remaining in this one. These guys are going to pit with 10 to go. I'm not sure if they're going to have to save any fuel coming to the finish or not, but let me tell you, they're going to be really close on making it now. What a break for these guys. They're not going to have to make a single green flag pit stop here at the iRacing Superspeedway. I don't, man, that's just, yeah, let's just go ahead and hit the RevLIVE replay on this one.
Oop, went too far up. Yeah, as they were already chaotic, and then, oh, wow, that's crazy just seeing these cars get up on 2 wheels like that, and they really seem like they're about to go over, and then they just sit back down in the nick of time, and yeah, he went off the nose of Carson Kenny, as we can look at another replay here.
These wrecks just look so violent. It's insane. If this was real life, like I said, there's no possible way this place could exist in real life because of what you're seeing is pretty much what you'd get in real life. These guys getting airborne on pretty much every single spin. I'm amazed that we've only had the one tumble so far down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I mean, and that one was, you know, almost like a like retribution for all the other ones we've missed, as that one was brutal. That was a brutal roll flip from Chase LaForte and the number 9, but yeah, these guys have just barely avoided flipping twice now in a row. But yeah, keeping it on all fours and doing a little style points to match. But yeah, another caution comes out, and we will have, looks like, maybe 8 to go on this restart after we get pit stops down here on this lap.
The crazy thing that the viewers may not know, and that people who don't have iRacing may not know, is when you think of these trucks in real life, they're going maybe 180 miles an hour max. Because of the way this track is, these guys are hitting over 200 miles an hour in these straightaways. That is why these trucks are doing what they're doing, where they're getting up and they're catching air under them and almost going over. It's because they're going 200 miles an hour, and these things are not designed to go 200 miles an hour. They don't go 200 miles an hour in real life. Oh, we got a checkup going on a pit road. Almost a collision, and guess who it was? The 22 of Randy Cornwall. He was right in the center of that one. Man, that guy's had a rough luck on pit road today. These guys are going to take this pit stop. I'm guessing they were a little scared about that 65 mile an hour pit limit coming from that 200 mile an hour speed on the racetrack, and that's why maybe they wanted to get these cautions out. Looks like we got a couple guys just taking a splash and go. Tires not really seem to be a concern for these trucks. But we're going to have a new race leader because Joseph Smith in the 31 is going to come out on top, and actually, yeah, Joseph Smith will be your leader in the 31.
Yeah, that might change things up. I don't think he's been at the front yet today, as we can actually look at the amount of laps led. Yeah, Tim Averill has been up front for 16 of them, with the 111 of Chris Lewis with 9 laps led. Carson Kenny with 7, and Troy Nissen, who led the first 5 and has not been back up there since. So I believe we've got a new leader here in the 31. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes advantage of this and is able to hold the field back.
So Joseph Smith, he is on Full Throttle Motorsports, and Full Throttle Motorsports is currently your team standings leader heading into this one, 8 points ahead of TA3 at 162. One thing to note, though, is Joseph's teammates have not had a good run at it. We mentioned Carson Wong head onto the backstretch wall early on in the 16. Colton Sorrell we just saw go around for a spin. Nick Wheeler we saw with connection issues. How about Jace LaForte going up and over? Joseph Smith is really fighting some bad karma with the rest of his team here, trying to carry the team here in the team standings against TA3. And TA3 has Chris Lewis, Tim Averill, 2 guys who have absolutely controlled this race, been up front. Of course, some guys have had issues as well, like Dalton Wilson, Randy Cornwall. We've seen them kind of face some things. And you have Aaron Beaver and Drayton Cook on that team as well. Beaver's been kind of just running in the middle of the pack. You know, these guys, they're really just trying to keep things calm. And so a really interesting mix of drivers here between these 2 top teams in this league. Really, honestly, part of me wants to root for Joseph Smith to do well, just because his teammates are certainly rooting for him as well. He's their bright light. He's their hope for trying to get out of this week and still maintain that team lead. But he's got tough competition because the guys he's battling, one of them is starting right next to him on that front row.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to watch because it's almost like he's the last defender from TA3 taking over that points lead. And I've been keeping my eyes on the 97 of Aaron Beaver. He's had points where he's been up around 7th, I think, has been his high for the day. And I've been waiting for him to charge up and run in the front with his teammates, because having a 3-car team up there controlling the field would be very hard to get around. I mean, with the big runs here, you never really know, but having that 3rd car up there would be super helpful for them. And he really just hasn't, but he's also had just a quiet, consistent, and alive day. So I think either way, he's got some good points coming to him, unless he gets into an incident late here. Hopefully I didn't just commentator curse him, but yeah. So interesting to watch these teams battle it out as well.
And I think coming to green here, maybe we could go ahead and hit some mid-race information. We're a little bit past halfway, of course, but I mean, technically the middle of the race is between the green and the checkered, right? We're on lap 42, or we've completed 42 laps out of 50 in this one. We've had 5 cautions for 15 caution laps. There are 28 trucks still remaining in the session. Of course, we started with 29, and a lot of these guys have damage, so we'll see how it goes. We've had 6 lead changes in terms of who's crossed the line as a different leader. However, we have not had 6 lead changes in general, because let me tell you, these guys have been battling all throughout the race. The average lap time here so far has been 54.87 seconds, so we are seeing about an 8-minute run to the checkered flag here as we go back green flag racing, with Tim Averill getting a massive start, or not Tim Averill, sorry, Joseph Smith getting a massive start on Tim Averill, and he's going to lead the 3 going into turn number 1. The 3's all over the back.
And we're
the 31 side by side behind him, and yep, we're dead. Yep.
Oh, that's huge.
28 of, oh my goodness. Oh, the 11 barely gets in it at the very end there, tapping the 28.
I'm going to go back and check a quick replay, as the 17 also has a good bit of damage there.
Yeah, 16 is in it. Oh, he just spun out and wrecked again in the outside wall.
As we see the replay
As we check the replay here.
You see they're going down into turn 1, and we're 3 wide. Oh, the 10 comes up, tags the 40, and everyone's in it. Oh, hard hits the outside wall.
Just washed up into Nunez there, takes out Kenny as well. Lots of playoff contenders, the 16 in there. Wow.
Yeah,
that was a wreck of all time for sure.
Watch on board with Carson Kenny here. He goes into it, watches it in front of him, and yeah, there's not a whole lot you could do there. Hit to the outside wall.
Just along for the ride.
Yeah. Actually, less of a hit than it seems like a lot of these other guys took, but yeah, definitely a rough deal. He should be able to keep going as he, yeah, a bit of damage there, as you can see on the front and rear ends, but hopefully his hopes are just dashed and not completely smothered into the ground quite yet.
I will say, I used the phrase earlier, and I'm going to use it once again here. Several playoff drivers involved in that wreck. I'm going to have to say most of those guys are cooked. That was a pretty big wreck. That was a pretty violent one. You know, I was getting ready to talk about it too. I was getting ready to say we are going to have imminent death here. I mean, we are looking at ballistic missile level death coming on here at the iRacing Superspeedway, and that certainly started it. There's still a lot of trucks left in this one though, and still a lot of laps left, and still a lot of guys who probably want to go for that race win and want to advance in the playoffs. So I'm really curious to see what's going to go on here moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like the pace car wants to go fast. He's gotten tired of watching this. He wants to be involved. He kind of gapped the field there under yellow, and the whole field is kind of spread out trying to catch back up to the pace truck. You know, he spent a few laps out there, so I think he just wants to hit the gas himself. He's jealous of these guys out here.
I think that pace car has made more laps than some of the guys who registered for this race. I'd have to say the 34, for instance, who is 35 laps down. I'm going to have to venture that the pace car has made more than 11 laps in this one. So the pace car, congratulations to him. He's not finishing last. He's maintained a really consistent pace throughout the race. He hasn't gone too fast, hasn't gone too slow.
Yeah.
He's done a great job out there navigating in the front of the field under these cautions.
Yeah, 17 caution laps if we look back at the mid-race info. So, yeah, pace car has been out front of this field for 17 laps. But, yeah, hopefully no more after we go back green, because we're going to have only a couple laps to go here. It might be 3 to go at the line, unless they still have to pit, which
we're five to go now, and I believe they're going to go 1 to green this time by and double them up, which will put us at 4 to go on the pace lap. So yeah, we'll be coming to green with 3 laps to go in this one, I believe. We'll just have to kind of watch the pace car lights here. They should go out this time. I don't think these guys are pitting again. Check here as they come.
No, it does not seem like they are. No. Yeah, so
we'll just watch these pace car lights here, see if they turn off or not. As there's a field of hungry drivers, and if I'm the 31 of Joseph Smith or the 3 of Tim Averill, I'm probably scared for what's behind me, because I know that there's going to be somebody who's been lurking back there, and they know we're on 47 out of 50. When we go green, we're going to cross the line. It's going to be 48 out of 50. It's go time. It's time to get on the loud hammer. It's or the loud pedal. I just combined 2 racing references once. Genius me. It's time to get on it. Is the best way to put that. Clint Boyer likes to say a couple phrases that I love. We're gonna ask these guys if the juice is worth the squeeze, and we're gonna see if the pay window's open.
Yeah, I mean, pay window at this point is wide open, especially at a track like iRacing Superspeedway. I'm sure if Clint Boyer got to watch a race here, he'd be, well, in awe. Phrase.
What do you think the pay window is here?
Like,
Oh, you think it's in the infield? Like, do you think they have to like walk up to the concession stand? Where do you think they have the pay window?
I don't know,
Where's
but
the
it has been open all night.
I'm used to dirt racing.
Yeah. No, definitely getting down to it here with only 3 laps to go on this restart. Like I said, I'm really hoping we can make it back to the white, because once these guys make it back to the white, if anyone who has not been on iRacing or hasn't seen iRacing before, once we make it back to the white where there are no more cautions thrown, it is next flag is the checkered, and that will be when they get back to the line. So we could stack up the entire 15-car pack here with, you know, the white flag out, and there's still no yellow. It's whoever gets back to the line first. And that's always one thing that's interesting to watch about these super speedway races and iRacing races in general.
Let me tell you, if you are a manufacturer of virtual fencing for iRacing, get ready, because you're about to have to replace a lot. Somebody is probably going to get cheese graded here in the last few laps into that catch fence. But for now, we're going to have to figure out who it is that gets cheese graded and who it is that gets to grade the cheese as they go into victory lane. They roll into the restart zone with Joseph Smith in the 31 and the 3 of Tim Averill. And the green flag will fly, and we're back off and underway with the 51 of Whitaker trying to give a huge push to Averill, but a better start on the bottom lane between Neeson and Smith, as the 21 of Jeremy Berger also giving a huge push. The top 5 getting good restarts there. Chris Smith laying back a little bit there on the bottom lane, and we're 4 wide back there going into turn number 1. The 40 of Joshua Nunez said, I'm going, and he's going to get hooked going into turn number 1, and he's going to save. What? How is the caution out? Oh, man, the caution was out before he even fully spun it around.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something.
No, I don't think you're missing anything. Everyone else still going straight. Take a look back at the replay.
I cannot believe the caution came out for that one.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this one live.
The caution was out before he even spun. The caution was out there when he's sideways.
Yeah.
We didn't even give the man a chance to save the race car. Props to the 40. Great save. Great job not hitting the wall. Great job still being clean. He's been turned multiple times tonight. It's really been a hit of bad luck for that 40. I cannot believe that was a yellow. Wow. The guy fell asleep on the button and heard some screaming coming over his headset and decided, I gotta hit the button or something, man. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up working out in the end. I mean, you know, given if that caution wasn't out, it was going to come out. But I mean, it would have been nice to see, you know, if he would have saved that, at least given them the chance to save it. Obviously, it did not end up, you know, it kept it off the wall and kept it off any damage. Obviously, he still got a shot here, but yeah, it did end up making a 360 there, and unfortunately bringing out the yellow. So looks like we're gonna have a green-white checkered here, so that'll be interesting. Like I said before, that green-white checker can make for some really interesting racing here. So yeah, we'll get to watch a fun green-white checkered here at iRacing Superspeedway.
And speaking of green-white checkers, yeah, 3 attempts for those, and a little bit of a note from race officials. Drivers are being asked to watch jumping the restarts. Maybe some issues with jumping the restarts back there. Possibly what caused that 4 wide issue to begin going into turn number 1. So, you know, a little bit of heads up from race control. Hey, we're at the end of this one. We know you're getting antsy. We know everybody's fighting for playoff positions and trying to advance, and everybody wants to win, right? Oh, don't jump the restart. Do it. Stay in line. And honestly, if I'm in the middle of the pack, I don't care about jumping the restart, because I know that the wreck is going to happen in front of me, into me, and behind me, and I just got to try my best to keep the truck straight.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did see that 40 truck go up to the 3rd line, which ended up becoming the 4th line, you know, pretty early, I think almost before the line. So, start-finish line. Too many lines. But, yeah, and obviously when you're going that many different, 4 wide, it's hard to keep it straight, and it's almost too aggressive too early. These laps are long, so it's almost more beneficial just to try to get a decent restart and funnel in where you can, and then worry about it on the backstretch. Whereas, you know, like we've mentioned all day, the entrance to turn 1 and turn 3 are both very treacherous. So again, we see another wreck on entry to turn 1.
So these guys have pit. They are good on fuel to the end. Absolutely no concerns there for any of these truck drivers. The only concern is, can we make it to the white flag? And if we do make it to the white flag, who is going to be the first one to make it to the checkered flag? Or if you're a playoff guy, do I make it to the checkered flag ahead of the guy who I'm matched up against in this tournament style bracket for the playoffs? We've seen, as I mentioned, multiple people. Nick Wheeler is back to 1 lap down. I don't know if he just got the lucky dog. There's a small chance Nick Wheeler in the 12 is back in this one. That front end damage on his truck is cleaned up, so I think he might be okay. I think if he got the lucky dog, I can't quite tell if he did. Dakota Crawford better be scared because we thought that this one was over and we may have jumped the gun too early on it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, are you seeing any real close battles in those playoff bracket currently with guys real close to each other, or is it? Obviously, we've already kind of decided a few of them, but you know, who's still looking like we're gonna have a pretty good fight to the end here?
Here's the thing, Josh. Every single one of these battles is close because the guy in dead last can still be the guy in first by the end of this one.
Very true.
I see all of these battles being close. There are some guys who are close together, kind of running side by side, but I honestly, dude, I don't think, besides the ones that are already decided by guys who've disconnected or, in the case of Jace LaForte, flipped over, I don't think we are going to, I don't think we're going to see, we're not going to see who makes it into the next round until this thing is over, said and done. That's the beauty of super speedway racing. If NASCAR just ran super speedways every week, we'd probably have had, I don't know,
millions of dollars of damage.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for sure, it'll be a good one here to the end. We're gonna go green with just 2 laps to go in a green-white checkered style finish. We got Joseph Smith and Tim Averill on the front row, as they have been. Both been up front and holding steady up there. And then pole sitter Troy Nissen in P3, and Ryan Whitaker, who started second, in P4. So those guys have all been able to maintain up front, and just shows that being up front in front of the chaos has definitely paid dividends for each of those guys.
As many caution flags as we've had, I'm very impressed with the amount of trucks that we have left in this field, ready to do battle, playoff spots on the line, a race victory on the line. The first of 3 attempts at a green-white checkered is out and underway as Joseph Smith fires off really well, but nobody behind him does. Smith is going to come up and throw a nasty block on Tim Averill. I'm not sure if Averill had to lift there or not, but that 3 is hanging on the right rear of the 31, and that looks dangerous. The 51 now is going to try to make a move going into turn number 1. That's Whitaker to the outside of the 3, and we have a yellow.
Yeah.
Flag for
the 11. Brian Kenny spun at the back. So we'll hit a quick replay. Not too sure what happened here. I saw it out of the corner of my screen. Do we get
I think
going?
He just spun by himself.
Oh, he blew up. He money shifted, I think.
I think he money shifted.
That's
money
tough.
Shifted and just looped the thing. Man, these last couple cautions have been.
Oh wait, nope. Sorry, I went back live there, and it took me to Brian Kenny, but I saw an orange front end. I thought it was Joseph Smith. Thought we were pitting with just another green-white checkered here.
Don't worry. They are not color coordinated. You are allowed to have multiple orange cars in the field, Josh. You should be perfectly fine with that being your favorite color.
Oh yeah.
My
mistake.
Yeah, these last couple cautions, man. Let me tell you, they've been interesting ones. It's, we had the half spin where it felt like a NASCAR race when Chase Elliott's leading. You got to hit that button real quick, and then we go to that a little bit of a money shift.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes things happen. Shifting's hard.
Yeah, I mean, they found. I think they've. If we have a bingo board of ways to wreck at this track, I think we've definitely hit bingo once or twice here. We've had simple spins, money shifts, barrel rolls, near blowovers, and then just.
We have not had somebody get cheese graded yet.
We have not.
I'm still betting on that.
Yeah,
that's
and
gonna
we've had the big pile up as
will...
well. As we are pitting here, Joseph Smith does go down to pit road. Way in front of the field, mind you, as it seems like everyone else stays out. Huh.
Why are they so far behind the pace car? The pace car is moving.
I told you, he's jealous. He wants to go fast. Put Ricky Bobby in
He
that
knows
thing.
he should be on the lead lap. He knows he should be on the lead lap. He's probably trying to convince timing and scoring to give him some laps back. You know, the lucky dog has decided, or the wave around, you know, you have to pass the pace car to get your laps back. But how would the pace car unlap himself?
Actually, with that being said, does Nick Wheeler get the lucky dog? Is he going to get back on the lead lap?
You know, I'm starting to notice a possibility of extending the idea of conspiracy theories being discussed. Because I'm pretty sure Nick Wheeler is the lucky dog. He was, I mean, Brian Kenny is now a lap down, but prior to that yellow, Nick Wheeler was the only one a lap down. He is passing the field. The 12 is back in this one, and the 70 of Dakota Crawford has lost his lucky break that he's held on to for the last 40-something laps.
It's funny, when he was going around, Nick Wheeler was trying to pass the field, obviously, to get his lap back. When he went around Crawford, Crawford went up a little bit. I don't think he's too happy that Wheeler's back on his lap.
You know, sometimes you accidentally take a guy out under caution. We've seen our friend Paul do it plenty of times.
Sometimes it's not so accidental.
It's never accidental when it's him. But anyways, you know, the 70 here, what even is your strategy anymore? You thought you were just, yeah, I'm going to chill around here, just stay alive. Now you can't really just chill and stay alive, because if he chills and stays alive, then you're kind of not, you know, you got to do something different. So you also have to, you know, I mean, staying alive is half the battle, I guess, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how this one plays out. We thought we may have had 3 matchups being decided early on. I'm not really sure what's going on in race chat, but I will tell you that race officials have muted the driver of the 10 truck. So I'm not really sure if we've had some arguments blowing up or whatever in the chat, but definitely curious to see how that goes. The 10 is 9 laps down in 25th, and actually I believe Childers, being a playoff driver, I'm going to go ahead and check the bracket for a second. I think Childers is going to, yeah. Childers won in 16, wrecked early on in this one, and has been playing catch-up ever since. Despite being 8 laps down, Carson Wong has now passed Dallas Childers, who is 9 laps down, to go ahead and take that spot in the next round of the playoffs. Childers is still on pit road getting serviced. Wong is on track pacing with the field as we're 2x2 ready to go green. Something tells me that this is not really playing into Childers' favor, considering A, he'd have to get a lap back on Wong, and B, he's also not on track.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Wong staying out and kind of playing spoiler. I didn't realize he'd be playing spoiler for Dallas Childers there. I didn't think he'd have a shot to get himself actually into the next round, but I mean, now we're sitting here 3 to go, and he's almost guaranteed a spot into the next round.
Childers is seemingly, I'm not really sure, he has a black flag, so he will not be coming out on the racetrack. Yeah. Childers has also been trying to communicate in the league Discord with a video. However, I don't feel like turning the audio on, so I can't quite tell you what the content of that video is. It is simply a video of the 11's money shift there on that last restart. So we might keep an eye out. We might have some league drama that you and I, being the broadcasters, we don't have to be involved in. We just get to sit back and watch and crack open a cold one.
That is definitely the nice thing about being in the booth.
So. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say neither of us drink, so maybe we're cracking open like a Capri Sun or something. Yeah. Anyways, back green flag racing here for the second of 3 green-white checkered attempts as the 3 of 10 Averill gets a wonderful start. He won't quite be able to clear up on Whitaker. Oh, actually, Whitaker's going to lift and get in line behind Averill. Remember, Whitaker started on the front row, had the pole until late in qualifying when Neeson in the 19 took it away. Side by side here as they go into turn number 1. The 40's on the apron. Oh, the 70 of Crawford gets booted! That's a playoff matchup we're going to have to watch.
Oh,
as the
there
12
it
is
is.
right there.
Oh, they're wrecking huge.
He's trying to up and over. Goes the 111. The 40 is on his side, twirling down the back straightaway.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We're never making it to the white flag.
We got to look at a replay of this one. Yeah. I mean, here we are.
It's pretty. It's.
Oh yeah. No! The 111 gets turned, and just huge hits. They merge in
right
each other.
Round, baby, right round. Come on, karaoke boys.
Oh yeah.
That's yeah. Okay. That's yeah. Welcome to iRacing Superspeedway, guys. This is quite entertaining. You know, product of playoff racing, product of super speedway racing. These guys are not calming down, and I think at this point it's too late to tell them to calm down and remind them, hey, you only have 3 attempts at this, and you're on your 3rd attempt. We have to get to the white flag to finish this one under green. At this point, if I'm the leader, or if I'm 2nd place, I might as well just kill the leader, because I don't think we're going to make it to the white flag anyways. I don't think you should do that. I think you should try to race it out and make it to the white, but, you know.
I'm going to go on board with Sammy Harrell here for one more replay. He's there, and yeah, Chris Lewis just, oh, oh, huge impact. Actually seems like he landed on somebody and manages to keep it straight, but yeah, definitely a lot of damage to that 43 truck.
Well, Chris Lewis, he knew he was making it to the next round, so he knew he could kind of just do anything and everything in his power to try to win this one. He definitely, yeah. He went up and over, the 40 went up and over. The 40 has now been involved in 3 wrecks that were not caused by him. So,
yeah,
he's definitely on a streak today.
If there's an award for unluckiest driver, I think he might just so happen to get it. But
you know, there was a race I was at where somebody sponsored the hard luck award, but they called it the poor sucker award. I definitely think we could consider Joshua Nunez as tonight's poor sucker, because yeah, I feel bad for the poor sucker.
Yeah. Something we've been talking about all night is this battle, one of these battles in the bracket challenge they've got going on between Dakota Crawford and Nick Wheeler, as they are now running 12 and 13, as Crawford actually goes down to pit. So Nick Wheeler, after being multiple laps down, is now going to get in front of Dakota Crawford in the spot for transfer.
See, I kind of get Crawford's thought process. Maybe he's thinking, I go down pit road, top off on gas. Maybe some of these guys can't make it on gas because we've been going so many laps. He's thinking maybe the 12 gets caught up in that inevitable wreck that's going to happen. But the problem is, what if Crawford's too far back and the 12 misses the wreck, and then, you know, he's behind everybody there. Really, really curious to see how this decision pans out, as we have trucks nearly spinning coming off of pit road. Oh my goodness. That was something. The 38 of Michael Saylor was burning off the rear end tires like he's part of the Whiskey Garage Drift series over here. I mean, fitting that I said that. Apparently he is sponsored by Enduro Garage. So we're going to get these trucks off of pit road. They're going to start 2x2. Tim Averill controlled this race, and Randy Cornwell, his teammate, who he's had some run-ins himself, has kind of quietly navigated himself up to the front here in second. I haven't really noticed it. Jeremy Berger, he's been up front the whole race. Joseph Smith. A lot of these guys who've been up front have been up here for most of the race, except for Cornwell. Like, good on Cornwell to get up there. You know, it's about being there at the end. It's not being there at the beginning. So good for the 22.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the guys who came down to pit and everyone else who stayed out, it looks like it's only the top 7 who have stayed out. Everyone else come down to pit that time. So I think it might be a fuel thing. So I'm with how short these runs are, I'm almost curious to see if everyone who came down wasn't going to make it another time on fuel, and was really hoping that there would be or it would go green to the end so they could make it without having to do that extra pit stop. But now that puts a lot of those guys who were actually up front, like Troy Nissen and Ryan Whitaker, behind the 8 ball here as they're running 8th and 9th respectively.
So some of that drama we were talking about is a little bit of accusation that the money shift spin was intentional. We'll definitely have to follow up on that one and see where that takes us. Cornwell is going to be on the bottom here. Averill will take to the top side as the leader gets lane choice. And when you have a teammate on your inside, you see it in NASCAR all the time. You know, the teammate on the inside, he lifts, lets the guy in the top line in. The problem is that really stacks up the bottom lane. So in a situation where there's a high intensity to it, a lot at stake, a lot of aggression already being displayed, interesting move, because I think we're going to stack up the field and we may not make it to the white flag because of that. I guess we'll see how it all pans out. If they do the move right, maybe it won't stack up the field too bad, and it gets them just bumper to bumper, working together, trying to each advance to the next round of the playoffs. Obviously, with the bracket style thing, these guys aren't facing each other, so they get to work together and try to make sure that each of them makes it to the next round.
Yeah, I'm going to check out one more mid-race info before we take our final green-white checkered attempts. We are on lap 58 of a scheduled 50, but now we'll be 61. We've had 9 cautions for 26 caution laps. Still 28 cars in this, or 28 trucks in the session, but only, I believe, 15 of those on the lead lap right now. 7 different leaders coming across the line, and an average lap time of just over 55 seconds.
This has been certainly one of the races of all time, for sure. We are ready to get back going green, and the 22 is already laying a lane back. Looks like a good old Delaware restart here, or Texas two-step, as they call it in guess where, Texas. Crawford is still about a lane back on the leader, Tim Averill. He's not getting up there, and Averill's going to fire off way before the restart zone. Very, very interesting restart. That's going to split the field slightly and really mix some things up. We'll see if they single file it out going into turn number 1, or if at the very least they give each other a lot of room as they go side by side. The top 4, 2 by 2, going into turn number 1. They're going to make it through. Let's see if everybody else can make it through turn 1 too, as it seems to be the problem corner on these restarts.
And no caution yet. A big block from Tim Averill up to block to 31 of Joseph Smith. It makes it work only just. And
the 12 is getting shuffled back. Oh, big check up on the back straightaway. The 51 and the 97. We got to watch this middle of the field.
Oh, they're 4
wide.
Oh,
big moves. The 17 gets turned. They don't make it to the white.
There's the yellow. Tim Averill.
Cook gets hooked, and that's going to be the end of the race. The 70 truck has lost the battle to Nick Wheeler, who has overcome network connection issues. And your race winner is going to be Tim Averill, as he's going to have to take the white flag here and then come around and take the checkered. But that will end it.
Yeah.
And man, oh.
Let's take a quick look at the replay there, if we can get our eyes on it.
It looked like a pretty ridiculous move to me, just way too aggressive. We were already checking up there, we're 4 wide, and the 59 just no lift. We decided we were going to turn right instead, and yeah,
honestly, as an innocent bystander there, it almost looks like team games, you know, given those matching paint schemes of the 17 and the 3, you know, Tim Averill up front. You got a teammate with damage in the field, and he's blocking like his life depends on it. Obviously, he's looking for a good finish himself, but, you know, it's very, very aggressive with a car that is very, very down on power. But you never know.
Just way too much taking, not enough giving there. Unfortunately, I lost my bet. Nobody got cheese graded, but, you know,
Probably
I really,
for the best.
You know, I really wish we could have made it to the white. I would have loved to seen how that one played out on under a green flag finish, but you know, unfortunately, aggressions come through and go, and it seems like there's a lot of issues going on. Driver chat has been disabled in the session, so we'll have to keep an eye out on that one. As race control trying to calm some things down there. Probably a lot to do with that finish and the way this is going down. But as they come off of turn number 4. If you watched NASCAR back in 2003, I didn't because I wasn't born yet. But if you watched NASCAR back then, you know that this is how races finished. There weren't green white checkers. Everything finished under yellow when it came down to this kind of situation. So the 3 of Tim Averill will come across the line, and he will officially be your race winner here from the iRacing Superspeedway, ahead of the 31 of Joseph Smith and the 21 of Jeremy Berger. And we'll have to navigate kind of how the playoff stuff went and see these interviews here as to how things went.
Yeah. But before we do that, as we have officially ended the race under caution, let's take a quick look at your finishing results. Obviously unofficial at the moment, but here are the results coming from iRacing Superspeedway. Tim Averill brings home the victory under yellow. Really dominant race from Tim. He was up front for the vast majority of this thing. Joseph Smith comes home second, was not able to defend the lead in the team battle there. We'll have to see how those points shake out after this one. Ram 1-2-3 with Jeremy Berger coming home in P3. Randy Cornwell P4 in the 22 truck. Troy Nissen from pole comes home P5. The 40 of Joshua Nunez actually comes home with P6 after being in 3 different wrecks, having hard hits, and
after becoming
about every one
of
them.
those fidget spinners.
Yeah. Becomes, goes from fidget spinner to top 6. That's a great run for the 40 truck. Colton Sorrell, P7. Didn't really talk about him much all day, so very solid finish for that 59 truck. Nick Wheeler Like we said, advancing in the playoffs in P8, Ryan Whitaker in the 51 coming on P9, Michael Saylor in the 38 coming home in 10th.
And then rounding out the rest of your field here from this one, or your next 10 at least. In 11th place, we had Abe Kalufa, who, I mean, he had an interesting run in the pit road in the 84, was battling all race long. Aaron Beaver in the 97 finished 12th. Dakota Crawford, the 70, finished 13th. Chris Lewis, after a strong run early on, would ultimately end up 14th after taking a tumble. Surprised he was even able to finish on track, to be honest. Sammy Harrell in the 43 finished 15th, Drayton Cook 16th, and then starting off one lap down, we had Carson Kinney in the 28 finishing 17th, Dalton Wilson in the 8 finishing 18th, 19th being Quentin Steinbach in the 98, and then running out the top 20 was Paul Tyler in the 33.
We'll run through the rest of these results pretty quickly. Jordan Nissen, P21, Carson Wong, 22nd, Brian Kenny, 23rd, Jesse Meyer, 24th, Dallas Childers, P25, Marcel Flores, 26, Jace Lafort after barrel rolling down the front stretch comes home 27th, Nicholas Moffitt, P28, and James Zanghi in the 34, rounding out your field 52 laps down. Now we are going to go to a little commercial break, and then we will be back to you for post-race interviews. Don't tune out. We'll be back very soon. All right, we are back here at iRacing Superspeedway. We're going to bring up into the booth Tim Averill after his victory. If we could bring him up. Tim Averill.
Tim, you're in the RevLIVE booth.
Hey.
Congratulations.
All right, cool. We got a copy with him.
Yep. Congratulations on your win here today. You were able to control the field and had a really great run, honestly, up front and holding people behind you real well. How were you able to navigate this track and keep everyone behind you today?
Oh, I actually love this track. When we came here last season, I won that one too. I mean, I love this track. I love the way the corners are banked. It's one of them ones that I feel like you can kind of make a late block and get hit pretty hard in the rear, and you can still hang on to it. So, I just on that last restart there, seen that Joseph and Jeremy were getting a good run on the high lane. I jumped up, put a block on them. It was pretty close. I mean, it was probably inches away from getting turned, but luckily at that point then the caution came in.
Yeah, I mean, how relieved were you to see that caution flag coming out with a lap and a half to go there?
Oh, I was super relieved. I know with these tracks you really don't want to be the leader coming off turn 4 on the last lap. Everyone's going to rip out around you, especially here because the runs are just so aggressive. So I was definitely thankful that a caution came out when it did. I mean, I was gambling on that because, like, I think we had a caution. There was probably like 15 laps to go or so, maybe like 10. We ain't completed a lap since. So I was like, they haven't completed a lap yet. I'm going to take the gamble that I'm getting. Worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to hand it off to Brayson to see if he's got any questions for you.
Yeah, Tim, you know, we watched a lot of the team dynamics there, you know, you and some of your fellow not just in terms of your like iRacing team itself, but all of these Ram trucks working together up there at the front. What is it about that camaraderie that you think enabled yourself to feel comfortable up there in the front? And were you guys in a lot of communication between you and your team and maybe some of your manufacturer teammates as well? Or were you more just kind of on your own, but knowing that these guys, hey, they're going to work with me because we're teammates, and that's just kind of the pseudo thing to do?
Yeah, I knew I was in a Discord with my team, so all the guys in the TA3 team, we were all in there together. So I had Chris Lewis and Randy Cornwell up with me there at the end, and we worked that move there out to where I'd start on the high lane, jump down in front of him. So we communicated that together. Now, as for Joseph and Jeremy, both running Rams, I didn't have any communication whatsoever with them. However, both those guys are really good. They're front runners every week. So I have a lot of experience running with those guys. I know kind of how they race. They know how I race. So I think we're all pretty well comfortable around one another.
All right. Well, obviously, a great run for you, right? You won. I mean, you can't have any better of a run than winning, and not only winning, but advancing to the next round of the playoffs. And before we let you go, we know you had some fans in the chat, so I got to ask who you have to thank for tonight in terms of you, being able to advance the playoffs, being able to come out here and win, and just overall being able to spend this downtime racing and doing something that you love.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the guys back at TI Racing, TA3 Designs, Cornwall Barbecue Sauce, put all the guys back on the team. We're real solid together. I want to give a shout out to fans watching. I know I sent the link out to Sandy Beto, Dad, Tony Perkins, Captain Lochran, Schaefer. And then last, I want to give a big shout out to my wife. She should have been watching, and I want to thank her for allowing me the opportunity to run these on late weeknight. And definitely want to give a shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Really, really glad you're here. I was watching a little bit during the practice qualifying. It looks great. I look forward to the rest of the season, and hopefully you guys come around for next season as well.
All right, Tim. Thank you, Josh. I don't know if you have anything to follow up with, but otherwise, I think we appreciate your time here, Tim, and congratulations once again on the win.
Yep, thank you.
Congrats, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, that was Tim Averill, your race winner for tonight's race at iRacing Superspeedway. Next up, we're going to bring into the booth Joseph Smith in the 31. Joseph, you got a copy?
Loud and clear.
All right, Joseph, you were up there in front, led a good few laps there towards the end. What kept you from being able to hold on to that lead and bring home the victory tonight?
I was a lap short on fuel, so I just accepted and took my L. I was gonna help my teammates however I could to help them advance. It sucks. I was in position to win on the last lap, and they just had to bring the caution out. So I should have went for the move and passed him, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's so tricky to try to time the cautions like that, and yeah, I mean you really did have a great night tonight. Unfortunately, just with that fuel didn't quite work out for you. Looking back, is there anything other than going for that move a little earlier that you could have done differently that might have brought home that win tonight?
No, honestly, I think I did everything I could. I really think the only thing I could have done was just gone for it and passed them before they brought the yellow out. I was gonna push him out on the last lap and hang him dry, but we can't make 4 corners, so.
Yeah, Bryson, I'll hand it over to you then.
Well, Joseph, obviously a lot of frustrations on your end about being able to compete for that win. With this tournament style playoff system, you were able to advance to the next round. Is there at least a little bit of an uphill kind of hope there for you, knowing that you were able to move on and you're going to be one of the next 8 drivers competing for that championship?
Oh yeah, most definitely. That softens the blow of that loss a little bit. But I'm happy I was able to advance, and some of my teammates were able to too. It was a good points day for everyone, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, advancing in the playoffs always a good thing. I know you didn't get to compete for the win tonight, but overall, a good day for you, coming home second, moving on. Who do you have to thank for this effort tonight?
I want to shout out everyone at Full Throttle. We all try our best to work together, try and plan out a strategy and get ourselves up front. That's about it.
All right, Joseph. Well, we appreciate your time. Appreciate you being able to hop up in here and come on in and tell us about your night. Sorry the things didn't go well. Obviously, I've said this before, and I always get yelled at by my friends for saying it, but I think second is the absolute worst place to finish because that you were just one spot away from getting it done. So I'm glad somebody else agrees with me. Finally, I can use that to my advantage.
Second is the worst. It is the worst.
So absolutely appreciate you being here, Joseph. I don't know if Josh has anything else to say, but congratulations once again on your second place run.
Yeah, congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
Hopefully we'll see you in the booth soon. All right, that was your second place finisher, Joseph Smith, in the 31 truck, talking to us. Appreciate him for his time. As we will now interview third place, Jeremy Berger. Jeremy, you got a copy? Oh, Jeremy, you're up in the RevLIVE booth. You got a copy with us?
I do.
There you are. All right. Yeah. Congratulations on your third place run tonight. You were able to hang up front with the guys for pretty much the entirety of the race. You were pretty much always a front runner. Was there anything more you could do to try to hoist yourself a couple more spots there, or do you think you just kind of got caught in it late with the caution coming out?
I don't know. I was kind of feel like I was gonna run roughly where I was at. I don't really think I had a shot at it, especially with how that last restart went. It would have been interesting to see if we got back to the checkered, but I think I needed just like maybe that one more spot to really have a shot at it. But I mean, my goal coming into the race was just to beat the guy that I had to beat to get to the next round of the playoffs, and I did. So
Yeah, congratulations on advancing to the next round. There was that really your? I mean, your main focus there was just worrying about the other guy and trying to stay in front of him, kind of just making it to the finish.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I am in a way points racing. So I mean, and the only person I have to beat is one guy, and I was able to beat the guy tonight. Just finishing any better is just a plus, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, third place finish and a podium for you is definitely a solid result. I'll hand it over to Brayson. He'll have a question for you.
Yeah, Jeremy. I mean, one thing that we saw early on, you got caught in kind of a spin and win situation almost. I mean, obviously you didn't win, but you got some contact early on in turns 3 and 4. Went around. You were able to keep the truck clean. Great job saving it from getting in the wall on your end. And your opponent in the championship standings, he went for a barrel roll with like 35 laps to go or something like that. And Jace and Lafort the 14 or something like that. Anyways, sorry. Anyways, my point here, you went for a spin and then your opponent went flipping. You were able to keep the truck clean. Were you thinking about how close you were having to evade that danger of, I nearly just wrecked this thing. I nearly just cost myself a chance to move on in the championship. And then kind of that relief maybe was seeing that your opponent in this little 1v1 scenario went up and over and you're like, okay, cool. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah, I wasn't glad that he crashed because, as a race car driver, you never want to really wish bad on your fellow competitors. But I got screwed actually because I was fixing damage from that spin, but I went out too late and I didn't catch the field. And then I was in Discord with one of my teammates and he was like, "Oh, Jace is flipping," and I was like, "Oh, no way." So I definitely lucked out with him crashing, but it is what it is.
Well, Jeremy, it's just racing, right? Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield, and tonight, luckily, you almost started off as the bug, but you ended up being the windshield after all. Before we let you go, who do you have to thank for tonight's run?
My friends, my family, you guys for broadcasting, and my fellow competitors for racing me clean.
Well, Jeremy, we appreciate your time up here. Congratulations on the podium finish and advancing to the next round of the bracket here in terms of racing for a championship. I'm going to let Josh go ahead and close this one out now, but once again, thank you, Jeremy, for your time.
Yep, thanks for your time, Jeremy.
Yeah, no problem.
Congrats, man. All right, that was Jeremy Berger coming up and joining us in the booth today. We appreciate his time. And, definitely an interesting race from iRacing Superspeedway with the TA3 Designs Superspeedway Truck Series. I mean, Brayson, what are your closing takeaways from this one?
Well, we saw 16 drivers competing for a championship, and we are now down to 8 as Smith, Whitaker, Cornwell, Berger, Soler, Wong, Lewis, and Wheeler all managed to advance and set up the next round of the bracket here, as we're now down to 8 drivers fighting for one spot, right? The gold. A very interesting race. Obviously, our first race here, getting familiar with some of these drivers, some of the driving tactics, the way things are ran, all that stuff. It's always new when you get introduced to a league, and we closed in on this deal today. This just kind of came up, so we were able to just jump in here, had a lot of fun. I don't know if you had fun. It sounded like you were bored the whole time. Just kidding. But yeah, we had a lot of fun here. We always have fun doing this stuff. I'm glad we're back doing it again, and obviously, we got the whole revamped system, great graphics and everything. So props to you for all the work you put in on this, and super excited to see what the future is for RevLIVE, and I'm super interested to see how things go. There's a lot of drama going on in this Discord, so I might sit there and tune into that. But we definitely appreciate everybody coming in to the TA3 Designs Superspeedway Truck Series and for watching this presentation here on RevLIVE. make sure that you go ahead and subscribe. And if you're interested in keeping up with everything that we do in the future, go ahead and hit that bell, get the notifications every time we go live, and join our Discord as well, where we'll make sure we tag and post everybody whenever we go live. Otherwise, Josh, I'm going to go ahead and let you close this one out. You earned it.
Yeah, I mean, no, definitely a lot of fun coming out and watching this race and broadcasting it. And yeah, I hope everyone all the fans watching on YouTube had a good time, and hopefully we put on a good enough show for you. I know this was definitely interesting from these guys out on the track. So yeah, I mean, definitely good thanks to the league for letting us come broadcast their race, and hopefully we did a good enough job for them to invite us back. But yeah, thanks for coming out to watch tonight's race from iRacing Superspeedway. This is RevLIVE tuning out.